in like a year or two, you're gonna have the Lakers, Nets, Knicks, Heat, Celtics, all these big time franchises in big time cities to go live at are gonna have just wide open cap space because these new 4 year and then one guy can get 5 year max contracts. Just this is gonna keep happening. You're gonna keep having mass exoduses because franchises are just gonna empty out every 4 years. Because you don't have 6 and 7 year contracts anymore, so there's not. You can easily avoid overlap, and you can just go, "Oh yeah, we got $40 million in cap space this year." The Spurs are gonna have like a ton of cap room in a couple of years. Who wouldn't go there?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
The Spurs are signing Gordon Hayward, by the way, aren't they?
It'd be a nice piece over there.
Doesn't he just seem right?
I think Utah wants to hang on to him, though.
Yeah, but does he want to stay there?
He'd be a nice fit there. Dude, San Antonio could sign LeBron this summer.
They could. It would never. Nobody. Why wouldn't he go there? Why wouldn't he take his talents to the Alamo?
Because I think too that everyone's waiting, like,
because it wouldn't be his. He wouldn't get the credit.
The Spurs are sort of like the zombies of the NBA too. It's like they won't die, and they're the quiet killers in every postseason. But I think everyone's just sort of waiting for that, a big injury to happen or Duncan to really drop off. And I think people see it. It's going to happen soon. It's just a matter of time.
Right, so, but they've still got the best shooting coach
Kwame Leonard,
in the NBA. They've got Kawhi Leonard, yeah.
Right, they still have a lot of pieces.
They have the best coach and the best shooting coach. Like, that guy, you read a story about him. It's incredible what he does to teach guys how to shoot better. He made Steve Kerr better. Like, well, what did Steve Kerr need to learn?
And as a Suns fan, as a Phoenix Suns fan, I hate to say it, but I'm rooting for the Spurs. I think the Spurs winning a title this year is good for the NBA. I think it sets a good example. It sets a good, it does, because it tells you right then and there, the Spurs are that A+, that A team.
They already are. They already got 4 rings. Like, Duncan,
and if they
Duncan Pop.
You're talking too about not just can we talk about eras? It's like '90s or the Michael Jordan era, and then like kind of the 2000s up until now. It wouldn't just be the Kobe era; it's kind of the Kobe Duncan era.
Yeah,
Kobe Duncan Shaq era, kind of. Duncan would have 5.
Well, yeah.
I mean that's insane.
Just to win it at like 37 or 38 or however old he is, like it's just and to be one of the 25 best players in the league for 20 years straight.
And to win the way they do, no fanfare. They are the antithesis of the Miami Heat.
Yeah. And who was rooting for Miami last year? Like,
if you watch NBA commercials, when do you ever see a Spur in one? Like these guys, you never see Spurs players like in endorsements or anything. You don't see flash. You don't see all this.
They actually have some really funny local commercials if you look it up.
I'll bet they do. I bet those are
hilarious. They have some really weird, cheap, funny local commercials.
And they're, the fanfare is so minimal, and the flash and the panache and all those things. They just come in and they win and they put their heads down and they do their jobs. And I think that and they're a small market. I mean, San Antonio, the only sports team they have are the Spurs in that city, right? They don't have any other. No one else plays there. I think it's good for the NBA. I think it's good for professional sports, and I think it's good for these free agents and guys like Kevin Durant, because I kind of hate this thing about the big markets kind of monopolizing the league, and I think that we've seen that a lot, especially in the NBA. You don't see it as much in the NFL, but you see it.
Well, no, because they have all sorts of cap restrictions. You just can't make that decision,
right? And I love it.
The players can't do anything.
Players seeing that though, and players saying,
"But it happens in baseball.
I can win in my small market."
Yeah.
And that you can have one of the greatest franchises of all time and it's not in Chicago, LA, or Boston, or New York. That it can be in.
They've been a team for like 30 years, and they've made the playoffs like 26 times.
Yeah, they've
They've
won
only missed the playoffs like
games,
4 times. Yeah, like 12 years in a row or something.
And this too.
Oh, there he goes again. All right. Now it's just this big, creepy picture of your mugshot looking right at me. I gotta shrink that. All right. You look like you want to eat my soul. All right.
So what do you got? You got Spurs, OKC. Who's winning that series, and how many games? I'm going Spurs and 6 on that one.
I really hate to say this one game in because we don't know. I'm getting weary of making predictions to make predict. This is making a prediction to make a prediction. I'll take Spurs in 7, but I would like to see what happens when they just stop playing a game plan against the Spurs and do what they did 2 years ago and just out-athleticize them. Like, it was Harden.
Okay.
Harden drove to the basket anytime he wanted to. And if they go with that approach and just let, just say Russell Westbrook do this, and just be you, just go nuts for a little while, just be so athletic they can't do anything about it. They could just win 4 straight. They could just smack you around.
That's the thing about San Antonio, though, and that's where they outsmart teams, especially teams like Oklahoma City that are athletic. But they didn't
last time. Last time they got taken, they lost 4 straight games to Oklahoma City and lost it in 6 because they just said, you can outsmart us all you want, but we are like the one team that's too fast, too athletic, and too young. It doesn't matter. We can just do this all day for weeks on end, and you can't. And we can just burn you. Like
2 years ago, though, they had a healthy Ibaka and they had Harden.
They had a healthy Ibaka, they had a healthy Westbrook, and they had Harden. And
now,
so
Durant,
officially I'm taking
though, is a better player now than he was 2 years ago. We know that. Durant went from being a superstar to like a megastar.
He's got, a better skill set. He's a better passer and a little bit. But Westbrook's also a far better defender than he was 2 years ago.
Exactly. That's very true. So those two players. But I think what San Antonio likes to do, they used to do this to the Suns all the time, and it always pissed me off. What they would do when they play the Suns is they go, okay, we're going to let Amari Stoudemire score 40 points a night. We're going to let Nash dish out 16 assists a night or whatever. But no one else is going to do anything. We're not going to let anyone else do a thing. We're going to make Amari Stoudemire try to do it all himself.
Because everybody else on the Suns was utterly one-dimensional, and so is everybody else in OKC. So that makes sense.
Right. So they're going to do the same thing with OKC with, let Durant score 40. Or better yet, let Westbrook, take 40 shots or whatever. Because then they can focus on everybody else, and then it turns into a 1-on-5 matchup. And that's where OKC can get you. Then OKC also, Spurs are also notoriously known for sometimes just taking a series off too, and they've done that.
That's not happening anymore.
No,
that's not happening this season. Not since Ray Allen hit that 3. That's not happening. So if Tom Thibodeau was the coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder, what would your prediction be? The same roster, same health situation right now, with Thibodeau checking what San Antonio does on their offensive end. If he has his defensive system against their good passing.
If Thibodeau was the coach of OKC
this year, not next year, right now.
Right now, without Ibaka. We're basically saying, because if I say Thibodeau, then we're basically saying that OKC has to get rid of Brooks. Then.
They do. If they want to win, they do.
So you're saying if because we're going to say that in the NBA right now, probably the best coaches in the league are Greg Popovich, obviously, is number 1. Number 2 best coach in the league is probably what? Spoelstra,
It's hard. I give it to
or
Tibbs.
Tibbs. Yeah,
Look what he does with nobody on the roster. He changed
I
the
would
offense
say
and made the offense run through Joakim Noah, who's never played offense. Like
if Tibbs was the
Joakim
coach
Noah
of
was getting
OKC,
double doubles, like with
I would say,
assists. Like
well, I think if Tibbs was the coach of OKC, there's a good chance that OKC would be the number 1 seed, and they would have had home court advantage.
oh, they wouldn't have taken a single game off. Don't you think Russell Westbrook might really like Thibodeau?
Yeah, actually, so that changes things. Ooh, that's hard to say though. I still, you know what?
Doc's in the top 3.
Doc, yeah. You know what? At the end of the day, I'm still saying no. As much as I love Tibbs, I still think that I can't bet against Popovich. Especially after that 3 last year. I think I'd still stick with San Antonio this year. Yeah.
Your linchpin seems to be Ibaka then.
Yeah, I think if you had a healthy Ibaka,
Tibbs and Ibaka,
coach,
you're taking the Thunder.
I'm taking the Thunder. But without Tibbs and without Ibaka, I gotta go with San Antonio.
So we're both at a rematch of Spurs Heat.
Yes. Yeah, I think Miami beats Indiana in 6. I think that's gonna go 6. I think that maybe they split again in Indiana, and then Miami wins.
Who the Spurs beat in all these finals? All these titles they won. Who was their hardest competitor? Who was the last one?
Where they actually won a title?
Yeah, I mean they beat what? A crappy Knicks team, a crappy Nets team.
They beat the Pistons.
That was good. That was pretty damn good. But they're the same team as that Pistons team was, with Hall of Famers as opposed to guys who were good for 4 years.
Who else did they beat?
That's 1, 2, 3. Did they beat the Lakers? Who'd they beat? No, the Celtics beat the Lakers. What was their last one?
They haven't won a championship in a few years.
The Pistons wasn't the last one, though. It was after that.
Mm-hmm.
We won it odd years for a few different... God damn. We're not
They
very
beat
good
the Nets,
sports
right?
The Nets, right. When the Nets went back-to-back, they lost to the Lakers and then to the Spurs.
They lost to the Nets. Or they beat the Nets, they beat the Pistons. They beat the Knicks.
That was 99.
Yeah, and then they beat...
I'm going to edit this out.
Yeah. Anything that makes us sound stupid.
They're so unmemorable. We can't even remember who they beat that last championship.
Even during the regular season, we don't remember.
We don't remember really anything they did.
During the regular season, everyone goes, "Oh, who's it going to be?" And everyone's saying, "Oh, well, Houston might be really good because of Dwight, or OKC's going to be great, or Golden State, they got Iguodala, they're going to be great, or the Clippers with Doc now, and they're just built to win." People always write off San Antonio. People never even think about the Spurs, until the playoffs start, and it's like, oh wow, and it's funny, but it happens every single year.
Oh god damn it! This is so stupid. You know who they beat? I didn't look it up. It just hit me. They beat LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Cleveland Cavs. That's right.
God damn it! How did we forget that they beat LeBron once before?
Yeah.
My point was trying to say, if they get there, when have they ever really faced somebody that is another great champion and can bring it the way they can bring it when it comes to games 6 and 7?
Right.
I'd probably have to pick the Heat to beat the Spurs again. Because I think they have more of the X factor because they're guys, because LeBron's still young enough and LeBron's still in his absolute prime as an individual, and that's what the sport most often boils down to, is who has the best individual
player. Right.
And
Stars, good teams go win games during the season, and then stars win in the playoffs.
Stars beat they have a good team system, a good team chemistry in Miami. Also, not as well as San Antonio, but they will I just would take LeBron to figure it out in 7 again, because the best team that the Spurs have beaten has been probably that Pistons team.
This is true. I just think
LeBron's Cavs are probably the second best, and the second he left, were the worst team in the league.
But this Spurs Heat rematch, I think, for the NBA enthusiasts and for the real connoisseurs, I mean, that's the series we want. We want to see those teams.
But again,
go toe to toe again.
You do. You want to see them go back to 7, and you want to see the Spurs win it.
Yeah.
But
it's so much for both teams. I mean, if the Spurs win, that's 5 rings for Duncan and Popovich and that whole crew. If Miami wins, that's Miami three-peating. And that is a huge achievement. I mean, that puts LeBron in serious conversation in terms of when they talk about LeBron's legacy.
Mount Rushmore and all that, yeah.
That puts
who are you going? Because for me, it's the fact it's between the fact that the Spurs don't seem to have the history of beating great teams, whereas look, Miami really does. They beat the Spurs, they beat OKC, and they lost to Dirk having one of the 5 greatest postseasons anybody's ever had. It took another guy outplaying LeBron James for them to lose, and that's the only series this unit of guys has lost. They've lost 1 playoff series in 3.5 years, and it's because the other guy was the best player on the court.
Yeah.
Normally, they have the best player on the court.
Well, I think who I'd rather see, honestly, I'd rather see the Spurs do it just because I think they have a shorter window.
But what's your prediction?
What? What's my prediction? Oh, man. I hate predictions and calling a series in 7 because I think it's that's such a 50-50 thing when you call.
You always want to say 6 or 5.
You always want to say 6 or 5's real aggressive, but that's not going to happen. Spurs, Miami, I think it's going to go 7, and I'm going with the Spurs.
See, the other thing the Spurs have is will Manu Ginobili actually be a factor where he was not last year?
Yeah. I think that we don't see that. We don't see that 2 years in a row. I think Ginobili's had when he has played this season, he's looked good.
Yeah,
Kwame
he was
Leonard,
good in Game 5 last year, something like that.
Yeah, and Kwame Leonard is a better player this year than he was last year. I think that.
Oh yeah.
I think I got You play that series over and you play that Game 6 and you play that 100 times. That doesn't, or 10 times. That doesn't happen.
Oh,
again.
yeah.
That doesn't happen again, and that's Spurs taking that series 6.
Yeah. If they foul anybody else inside the 3-point line,
the mental wear and tear that comes also from being in the finals 4 years in a row. I got San Antonio, and I'm going to be safe, and I'm not going to have the super confident bet, but I'm going to say San Antonio in 7.